Hello and welcome to Mediumship Matters with me, Hannah McIntyre. First thing I need to say to you all is I'm an absolute tit. So on Wednesday's episode, I did a big introduction all about my new course and named it the wrong thing. There's no hope, honestly. There's just none. So the course I was referring to when I was talking all about how wonderful it is and how wonderful it'd be to have you with us is starting with spirit. There is also spirit-led Reiki coming up. So if I could suggest anything, it would be that you message me if you're interested in learning one from me, and you might get a cohesive answer. You might just get gobbledygook. You can also check out my website, hannahmedium.co.uk. And big news flash, mentorship is back open for a limited time. So there is space for more of you to work one-on-one with me if you so wish. That is the end of that cradola. What's wrong with me, honestly? It's a pain. A pain. A brain. Blah, 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 blah. So ironically, for somebody that has just managed to completely mess up a podcast, well, the advert on the podcast, today's topic is one that I've been asked several times from people, which is, how do you do a podcast? Well, let me share what I have self-taught myself. Now, this is an important thing to understand, and I think this is really important about all things with spirit and stuff like that. I don't have a producer. My podcasts are not edited, which is why you get mistakes in them and my tummy rumbling in them and the dog barking in them and stuff like that. They are recorded in my home. And one of the things that really stopped me doing it when I wanted to do it at the beginning was this idea that it wouldn't be good enough. And that's the first thing you have to reconcile if you want to start a podcast on any subject, whether it's mediumship or something else, is it's not going to feel like it's good enough, certainly at the beginning. And you are going to cringe at your own voice, cringe at the fact that you say things like interesting or does that make sense all the time. But you're just going to have to do it anyway. So don't focus on loads of barriers, create loads of barriers for yourself. Well, I need a better mic. Well, I need better content. I need to be more professional. So for the most part, if I don't mess up in the first 2 minutes of recording, these podcasts are recorded in one take and the podcast is released completely unedited. Completely. So you get every gap, every pause, every every stutter, every swear, and every bit of me naming courses the wrong things. But that's the way it goes. And that kind of works for my message, to be fair, because my whole thing is your mediumship is good enough. Let's understand the desire to improve it whilst not taking away the joy from where we are right now. So get used to that. Second of all, I would suggest taking it slowly to begin with and not overloading yourself. I will be honest with you guys and say doing one podcast for every day of the week is a big undertaking. I'm not sure how long I will manage to maintain that for, but I'm also allowing myself the freedom to just do it for as long as it works. And if something gets in the way, like a hangover, then you won't get a podcast that day, or you'll get a small one, or I'll mess up the order, XYZ. So I think that's really important. And one of the things that I do is I don't listen back to it until it's released to all of you, which is probably utter lunacy if we're honest, but it helps me to just hold my nose and jump. If I listen back to it, I hear the stutters, the things that are wrong, the bits I want to tweak, and all of a sudden I've ripped it all apart and there's no naturalness left to it whatsoever. So that is my biggest thing, is just hit record and start. You've got to know your topic. You've got to know what you're talking about. You're not going to be able to fill the time if you are unsure. I have spent years studying mediumship and I'm pretty confident that anybody could ask me any question about it and I would have an answer and an understanding. Now, obviously, as I progress and my consciousness evolves, my understanding can expand and grow, but I always have an answer for everything. I've never yet been caught out. And I'm quite excited about when that inevitably happens, because that will make me question. Your questions all help to make me question. So don't get tied up in financial restraints, things like that. You are going to need a computer. You are. And you are going to need a USB mic. How much you spend on that will impact the quality of the recording, but as those of you that have listened recently will know, I've had real trouble with this expensive Yeti microphone that I bought. So some of my podcasts sound like I'm underwater, and there's too many bloody functions. So sometimes I think I wish I hadn't changed it and just stuck with my easy, less profesh one, but there you go. Now, I use Audacity to record my podcasts, and Audacity is free. So you can just download that program to your device. You hit a record button, you start recording. If it's too quiet, you can turn it up. If you need to pause because you're going to cough, you've choked on your own dribble, something sexy like that, then you can pause. That's it. I don't bother doing too many video ones because sometimes, guys, I record in my pajamas. Sometimes I record when I've had a facial and I look like a greasy, red, scratchy moon face. And that way, nobody knows. You never know. Is she dressed right now? I don't know. Does the vibration of her voice sound like she's wearing pants? I'm not sure. Like to keep you all guessing. So record on Audacity. Now, one of the things you will need if you're going to do a podcast is hosting software. So I was hosting through rss.com, but I have recently moved to Acast to host my podcast. And I think I pay them about $25 a month to host me. I think it's about that. I probably should have looked before I hit record, but we're too deep in now to the one take. What are we going to do? We're just going to carry on. So I use them and they automatically upload my podcast to Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and places like that. You will need, as part of your setup, photos or cover the pictures, see, I'm really professional, the pictures that go on the podcast in it. You'll need some of those. I create mine on Canva. Find what works for you. But again, don't overcomplicate it. If you look back on season 1 of my podcast, you will see that the visuals are much simpler. Because as my skill set with Canva grew and I watched videos on TikTok on how to use Canva to its fullest potential, which I'm still learning, to be fair, my skills improved so I could do more exciting graphics. So that's that. And that's about it, really. Is there anything else I use? I just hit record in Audacity, I load it, upload it to Acast. That is it. Acast will create you your own website for your podcast, and then it's about talking on social media about what you're doing and getting the word out there. And I really recommend that you guys are brave and invite guest speakers onto your podcast. Now, you will know if you've listened to me for a while, there are lots of people that turn me down, but I love being invited onto people's podcasts and I have never yet said no to anyone. So I think that you think, oh, I'm not big enough, I'm not good enough. But if we're podcasting ourselves, we love to get word about our own podcasts out there and we love to talk. By default, we're podcasters. So don't just sit quietly and wonder about when you'll be big enough. Take some leaps and go for it. And I think that's about it, really. Keep it simple. Don't try and do massive long ones at the beginning while you're learning. Understand that you will listen back to season 1 of your podcast and cringe all the way through it, but that's okay because that's growth. You'll need some sort of graphic visual. I used to change my graphic for every episode. I don't anymore because I'm all about keeping it simple for 2023, so you get the same picture unless it's an interview where the interviewee's face is on it. And that is round about it. Yeah, I record. I don't really fiddle around with editing. You can record an intro on Acast and upload it. Obviously, I've got my theme music. My theme music I made on my phone with a piano app. That boom, 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 you know, the thing at the beginning of every podcast was a free app download where we were playing around and trying to create something. And that is the one that I've used. One day I might pay someone to write me a beautiful piece of music, but right now I did it for myself for free. And that's it really. Just start, accept it's a journey and start making moves. So the main things that you need are a computer with a microphone. Lots of people say recording, if you've got a walk-in closet, that's great, but in a bedroom or somewhere with lots of soft furnishings, if you can. You want there to be minimal amount of noise in the background. I did have to bollock my husband for the 25th time yesterday for loading the dishwasher while I was recording a podcast. Why? So stuff like that. Expect to want to kill the people you live with on a regular basis, but it's all good. And just start. And before you know it, you'll be helping people that you had no idea would ever even hear your voice. So it's pretty magnificent. And don't get too tied up in listening to other people's podcasts and trying to be like them. I think the most important gift you can give yourself is be your authentic self. Be your truth. Talk about what interests you. Look at what you wish you had known and fill that space, and it will just flow from there. So I hope that this helps. Have a lovely day. Actually, have a lovely weekend. It's Friday, isn't it? Have a good one, and we'll catch up soon.